Under the glittering chandeliers of Boston's elite cherry blossom ballroom, the air is thick with expensive perfume, shallow pleasantries, and decades of generational wealth. Amid the silks and sequins, no one pays attention to a gray-haired woman in a modest black cocktail dress. That woman is Colette Marceau, nearly 90 years old, arthritis-ridden and a little slow on her feet, but still sharper and more dangerous than anyone in the room knows. For tonight, she has her eyes on a prize, an 8.07-carat yellow diamond ring worth $90,000, currently perched on the hand of one Linda Clybourne, a woman whose cruelty, corruption, and greed have earned her a place on Colette's list. For Colette, this isn't merely theft, it's a legacy. From the time she was 10, Colette was trained not just in the art of stealing, but in the morality of it. Her mother, Annabelle Clement, a British expatriate living in Paris, had once sat her down and explained the truth of their ancestry. They were descendants of Robin Hood, not just the mythical outlaw, but a real man from the village of Wentbridge in England's Barnsdale Forest. From him descended a line of morally driven thieves who vowed only to steal from the corrupt and cruel, using their takings to help those in need. It was a legacy of resistance, of purpose, and of calculated rebellion against power. Back in the ballroom, the plan is classic Colette. She watches Linda wobble on her heels, her voice just beginning to slur as she toasts her donors with effusive insincerity. Colette's fingers itch, a sensation she's come to recognize over her decades of thieving. Nearby, a drunk man is creating a scene. Perfect. With flawless choreography, Colette pinches Linda's side, while pretending to steady her with the other hand. In the brief moment of physical contact and distraction, she slides the ring off the woman's finger. No one notices. No one ever does. Colette melts back into the crowd, the ring secure in her pocket, as Linda turns her rage onto the inebriated man. As she exits the ballroom, Colette reflects, not for the first time, on how her life of crime began, not with greed, but with stories. Decades earlier, in a Paris apartment far from the English woods where her mother grew up, young Colette had sat wide-eyed as Annabelle told her tales of Robin Hood and their lineage. "It is who we are," Annabelle had explained, her voice warm but grave. They were protectors, vigilantes in the shadows. Annabelle believed deeply in the morality of their mission, to take only from those who used their power to harm others, and to redistribute that wealth where it could do good. Colette, bright and serious even at 6, had questioned it. Wasn't stealing always wrong? But Annabelle had answered with nuance. In a world governed by black and white laws, perhaps, but in the world they lived in, a world of injustice, oppression, and selective morality, there was a place for gray. When Colette turned 10, her training began. But Annabelle didn't start with jewelry clasps or sleight of hand. She started with etiquette, teaching Colette how to move like the elite. Which fork to use. How to smile politely while deflecting questions. How to appear invisible while standing in plain sight. On weekends, they trained in Paris's Bois de Boulogne, where Colette learned to run, to climb, to read people and landscapes. Colette's childhood became a blend of physical discipline and ethical education. She didn't just learn how to steal, she learned why to steal. Her first score came in the summer of 1938, on a hot Parisian afternoon at a cafe. The mark was a Swiss banker named Valeton, a man who had swindled hundreds of Parisians out of their savings and escaped justice through police connections. Colette was terrified, but her mother was calm, her hand reassuring. "He won't even notice you exist," she said, and it was true. Colette, nervous but resolute, bumped against Valeton as they passed his table, murmured an apology, and with trembling fingers lifted a Longines pocket watch from his vest. It was a clean, perfect lift, and it changed her forever. From that day, Colette knew. She had inherited not only her mother's skill, but her sense of righteous duty. Every heist after that was chosen carefully. Every mark had to be undeserving of what they held. Tyrants of industry, war profiteers, exploiters of labor. Never someone honest, never someone kind. That was the code. Her mother had been adamant about it, and Colette never forgot. Morality was what separated them from common thieves. "No decent person deserves to be stolen from," her mother had once said. Not even the rich. As she grew older, Colette's skills sharpened. She learned how to spot fakes from across a room, how to distract, disarm, and disappear. But her greatest weapon was her invisibility, first as a child, then as a woman, and finally as an old woman. Society underestimated her at every stage of life, and she used it like armor. Her life, however, was not without cost. Her father, Roger, had never approved. A kind and principled man, he worked as a school headmaster and loved Annabelle deeply, but struggled with her calling. He turned a blind eye, insisting on plausible deniability. Annabelle, out of love, kept the family's secrets from him, but it created distance. Colette was asked to do the same, hide her training, her scores, her skills. It made her bond with her mother stronger, but at the cost of openness within the family. And yet, the legacy was always a source of pride. Years passed, wars were fought, loved ones were lost. But the code endured. Back in the present, Colette watches as Linda Clybourne's screams pierce the ballroom. She slips out without fanfare, as easily as she had slipped the ring from Linda's finger. Colette knows that by morning, the ring will be sold to a private buyer who supports refugee resettlement programs. The proceeds will help a dozen displaced families find homes, education, and safety. Colette will vanish again, just another nameless guest in the crowd. No one will remember her. The story ends not with fireworks, but with quiet legacy. Colette Marceau isn't a criminal in the traditional sense. She is a product of resistance, a woman shaped by war, inequality, and her mother's unwavering belief in the transformative power of righteous theft. Her hands may tremble now, her back may ache, but her sense of purpose remains unshaken. She is the latest in a long line of outlaws who live by the creed of Robin Hood, those who believe that when justice fails, morality must step in. That wealth stolen through cruelty is no more sacred than a lie. That kindness is the dividing line between who deserves protection and who deserves to lose their jewels. And above the ballroom, had anyone listened closely, they might have heard the high cry of a white-tailed eagle,